I almost didn't post this. Honestly, this mistake almost took me out completely. Not the business mistake itself, but what it did to me. When you fail enough times, when life knocks you down, divorce breaks your world apart, and your business feels like one more thing you failed at, you start to believe the lie that you're not capable, that maybe you just can't do it. But today, I'm bringing you behind the scenes, not just of my business, but of what it really looks like to rebuild your confidence when life after divorce has left you questioning everything. I'm fixing my product descriptions, rewriting my messaging, and fixing my brand. But truthfully, the real work is fixing what fear tried to destroy inside of me. If you're a woman of faith starting over, wondering if you can really do this one's for you. Let's do it together. So we have been talking about the 10 mistakes that I made that caused my business to fail the first time. And today we are on mistake number 9. Yesterday we talked about mistake number 8, which was failing to learn marketing, and more specifically, failing to learn to speak in the voice of my customer. We talked about being able to translate my message and what I want to say in my branding to a language that my customers understand. We talked about the fact that I did the analytics and all of the insights that I pulled from the analytics. And so I just kind of wrote those up in a little small paragraph and put that into ChatGPT, and then said, all right, ChatGPT, this is what we're going to do going forward. I need you to take everything that I give you and translate it into this messaging, this tone, this brand messaging, right? So this is the message that my customers speak according to my analytics, and I want you to take everything that I have written and translate it into that message. And so I figured that while I'm doing that, we could talk about number 9. So that's what you're seeing me do here on the screen. Is I am just taking my product descriptions and my titles from Shopify. These are all of my digital products that I currently have on Shopify, that I told you guys that, the mistake that I made is that I didn't learn marketing. So I did not learn how to actually properly market these products. And so I am taking those products and trying to rectify the mistakes that I've made as I prepare to relaunch my business. And so I am taking every single one of my product descriptions, which this is incredibly tedious because I do have several products. So I had to do it one product at a time. And then obviously you can't just, trust ChatGPT to just do its own thing, right? You have to actually read through and make sure that it knows what it's talking about. And it did a really good job for about 80% of them. It was about 20% of the items that I did have to just change a word here, or take out a line or two here where it was saying the product was going to give value that it wasn't going to give. But other than that, it did a really good job of just taking what I had from the product descriptions and translating it into what I thought was great, concerning the marketing message. So we will talk a little bit more about that. But first, I want to get into mistake number 9. So mistake number 9 is not having confidence. That is the next mistake that I made in my business. Is I didn't have confidence. I was listening to another creator, and she was saying how a lot of us are thinking that it's just mind over matter, and we just have to, psych ourselves up and speak self-care things to ourselves to build up our confidence. And she was saying, but the proper way to build up the confidence is to just do it. And then once you see that it's not as difficult as you thought it was, you gain more confidence. And so that is absolutely true. And so that is a mistake that I have made previously, is that I would, we have talked about those hindrances, and we have talked about, what the Lord had said about that, to just really use those to your advantage, and just really the messaging of pushing through those mountains and moving them by pushing through them, by going through them. And so many times previously I would try something, and I was very, resilient and very tenacious and tried multiple things. But it's after a while, with none of those things working, I just gave up. I just said, you know what, this is a mountain I cannot climb, I cannot move, and I have to just avoid doing this and try to find another way. And so that over time, continuing to do that over and over again in business decreased my confidence, to where I really truly would even say I'm not good at marketing. I don't know how to speak to customers, and that kind of thing. And that just really was just really let me know that my confidence just had gone down. And so I really didn't have confidence in myself that, hey, I can make this business work. I can actually do this. And that is one of the things that I have been learning throughout these mistakes and fixing them, is that I can do this. I can make this business work. Same thing with my YouTube channel. You guys, we talked about this before. By the way, if you are new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda Nicole, and I'm the CEO of Freedom Through Divorce. And so I make personal development digital products currently, and hopefully soon physical products that help women of faith that have been through toxic marriage and divorce. And so anyway, thank you so much for being here if you're new here. And if you are a returning subscriber, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for sticking with me on this journey. So, we've talked about previously with my YouTube channel that, I've had this channel for like 6 years, and, it still hasn't taken off. And I just, the subscriber count hasn't gone up as much as I like it to, or as much as other channels have, and just all of those things. And so, so many of the things related to this business have failed, obviously, hence what we're talking about here in these 10 mistakes. And so my confidence just really went down, and I didn't realize how far down it had gone and how it was affecting the decisions that I was making. And so it started out where it was like, okay, I've tried that and it doesn't work, so I'm going to try something else. And it really just became, now I don't want to try anything. Now I'm just going to sit and just pray and just wait for God to change something. And so it had changed the way that I behaved towards the business, right? And I talked about that previously on another video about strongholds, and that's how the enemy builds strongholds, is that he puts obstacles in your life to change the way you think and to where you think lies, right? And so I had began to think lies, that I just cannot run this business. I don't have what it takes. I need to hire X person or Y person or Z person. And I cannot tell you how much money I've wasted, hiring this expert or that expert to try to help me do this and that. And I have found that just through this series of these 10 mistakes, that I was capable of fixing all of those issues myself, right? And so I have learned that was a mistake in business, is that you have to have confidence. This is one of the reasons why I really have passionate about learning your purpose and doing what God has called you to do, because you will begin to look at yourself the way that God looks at you, and you'll begin to realize that part of his purpose is the specific gifts and talents that he has placed in you. And part of your purpose is to use those in business to help provide for you. And so he literally has a business that it needs to be wrapped in your destiny, and your destiny is wrapped in your gifts and callings and personality and how God made you. And so the idea that you aren't capable of running your business that God created for you is just crazy. That's just not the case. He created the business literally for you to be run by you. Now, can you do everything? No. Do you need help and community? Yes. But the idea that you just have to sit with your hands folded because you're not capable, and you have to let someone else do it, that's not the case. And so I have learned that, I really had to take the mindset throughout this series of every mistake that I write down on paper, I have to come up with at least one thing that I can do to try to fix it. And I may feel like I don't have the skills to completely fix it, but I have to try something. And remember that word that the Lord gave us several mistakes ago, where he was saying that the anointing is in the strategy. It's not that you have to have this particular skill or that particular skill. It's the strategy. It is the way that you're trying to fix it, is that God is going to anoint, and that anointing destroys the yoke, right? It may be a bondage that's hindering you and stopping you right now, but that anointing will destroy that yoke. And so that is what the Lord was letting me know, is that you've got to have confidence that you're going to just keep pushing and keep trying and do what I've called you to do, and have confidence that I'm going to anoint it because I said I would, and that it will destroy that yoke, and that these hindrances and these things that have previously held your business back won't be able to, not because you did this or you did that, but because I have anointed you. You are my anointed one, right? And so that is important for us to understand. And that is a huge mistake that I made in business, is not having confidence. So that's mistake number 9. So, and along those same lines, like I said, every single mistake, I'm doing something to try to fix it. And so that is part of why I'm doing this, is that as a result of mistake number 8 yesterday, I really said, okay, what things can I do? And I made a very long list from the previous things. I would struggle to even come up with one thing that I could do to try to fix it. But for this one, because I've been doing this for, 9 mistakes now, I'm coming up with a lot more things that I can do to try to fix it. And so this was just one of the things that I did. As you can see in here, one of the issues that I had is that I had put some product descriptions in here and the bullets were just off, right? They just, like, the bullet would be on one line and then the text would be on another line, and it just looked so raggedy. And I just was like, well, I don't know how to fix that. And so I figured out a way to fix it. I was like, I don't like that. My branding, I'm trying to revamp this, this store, and I want to give a better message than this. And so I'm not just going to say, oh, well, Shopify doesn't have a way to change it, I'm just going to leave it. I actually went in and figured out how to change it. And so it was little things like that as well. It wasn't just, okay, I'm going to fix this. It's okay. I also have other things that I'm doing to try to rectify it. And so I'm really doing kind of a revamp of the store. And this time it's different than what I did previously, because previously it was just design wise and I didn't do anything to change the actual products. And so now I'm actually changing the products to where, I'm taking out products that I feel like they are not alignment with my brand. For example, I had a job coaching course, because I used to do resume writing back in the day, so I had a job coaching course of just like teaching people how to get a better job if they're like working at Walmart or working a job that doesn't pay enough. I had a course for that, but in this season, I just really feel like jobs are just not your friend, right? These companies are just not treating their employees the way that they should and the way they did back in the day. And so I can't stand behind saying I want to help you find another job right now, because I just feel like if I could help you with anything, I'd rather help you start a business. And so there may be a place and a time that I would offer that course, but not as just part of my brand, right? Because I want my brand to focus on entrepreneurship. And so I just took that course out. And so other things, that I saw on here that I was like, well, again, none of the products are bad products, and none of the products are like, oh my gosh, I'm throwing this away. I'm just removing them from being visible on the website because it's not consistent with the brand, right? And so that's another mistake that I talked about previously, was just not focusing on branding, not making sure everything, is cohesive. And so these are mistakes that I am really just being critical about what I'm putting out and those kinds of things. So that is what I'm doing, is just really being critical and saying, you know what, I love these products. And that's another thing too, is that part of my confidence is, previously I had a lot of products up there just because I was afraid that they wouldn't sell, that if I didn't have a lot of products up there, that I wouldn't be able to sell any products, right? That someone would come to my website and say, well, she doesn't have this and she doesn't have that. And I would be like scrambling to try to get it and stuff like that. And so now my confidence has grown to where I'm like, you know what, I have a lot of products, I have a lot of things to offer, but I don't need to try to be everything to everybody, right? There's a specific target audience that I have that I want to try to reach, and I want to make sure that the products cater to them, that when they come to my website, they feel like this is for me. So I'm not going to trying to be everything to everybody. I'm not going to try to, vomit out every single product that I have onto the store. I'm going to be, very demure, very mindful, and just put the items out there that I know are going to add the most value, that are going to be the most cohesive with the brand, and just really be critical of my own products to say, this is what I think you need for this time in this season. And so it's just helped so much going through this exercise to increase my confidence to say, you know what, no, this is my business. This is what I'm called to do. Even going back and reading through the product descriptions that ChatGPT was coming up with based on what I put in there, like, right, this is not I had ChatGPT create this product AI, right? That's not the case. These are all products that I put together myself. These are all products that, I designed myself, with the exception of, the covers. I do have like AI covers in terms of like the characters on the front, because I didn't want to use, real people, right? But the design outside of just those characters is my design. There are the written information, the design of inside the products, the videos that I'm teaching, like it's all my stuff. And even when I was going back through, like I said, and being critical, I thought I was going to have to cut more products than I did, but I still had several products, and that I was really confident with all of them. And the things that AI is like, when it translated it into the voice of my customer, I was able to really see the value of what I'm offering even more than I was before, right? And so that just, pushing through is what it's just like that creator was saying, when you push through and you see the result, that's what builds your confidence. And so that is a mistake that I made in business. You have to have confidence if you are starting a business, if you have that on your heart, if you are rebuilding your life after divorce like I am, or rebuilding your business or whatever. Know that you are capable. Know that you are who God called you to be, and that is enough. That's enough to do what He called you to do. He will empower you to be able to do it. You are capable. You're smart. You can do it. And don't let the enemy convince you that you can't, just because you have X, Y, or Z, hindrance or thing that might hold you back, right? If you guys would look around at my setup right now, literally, you would be like, poor thing, but it doesn't matter what my hindrances are and what things the enemy has thrown at me. That is what this season is about. It's about rectifying these mistakes. And like I was telling you guys before, it's about putting me first in this season. Like I said, I have for the rest of the summer until my daughter goes back to school to put me first and to turn this business around. And I'm giving it everything I've got. And I'm not going to sit around and wait until we get the house and we get moved. Until we get this and I get, some extra money to do this or do that. I am doing it now. And I encourage you to do the same thing. If you have to do it small, if you have to do it in a way that, is more uncomfortable for you than you'd like, and you'd rather just have everything, your eyes dotted and your T's crossed, do it anyway. There's a creator that I watch. Her name is Moya, and she has a brand called Baddies in the Bag. And one of the things that she was saying on one of her videos is that when she first started her business, she would try to do her YouTube videos, and when she would get ready to film her voiceovers, the only time that it was quiet would be at night when her daughter was asleep. And so because her daughter was asleep, she would have to like film the voiceovers very quiet and very calm, and like try not to be loud, try not to wake her up. And but in her videos, that's the thing that most people were commenting about, is how calm and soothing her voice was. And so to this day, people still comment that on some of her videos, that her voice is so calming. And so the thing that I'm sure she would have preferred to like have a dedicated office space and like, have a babysitter and like be able to just like do all the things. But she just moved forward with what she had, and the way she had to do it as a single mom was just, I have to do it when my daughter's asleep. That just goes back to what I was telling you guys about the Lord will anoint the strategy, what could have been considered a hindrance for her. But she said, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway. And so you just never know how the Lord is going to bless you despite the things that, aggravate you and that you wish were different, right? And so we all have things, especially if you're rebuilding your life after divorce. If you've had a wrecking ball through your life with a divorce, there are a lot of things that you can look around and say, I really just wish this thing was better. I wish that thing was better. But we can still do it. And we shouldn't let that hinder us or stop us. And so in this season, I hope you will join me, and I hope you will go forth and do what God's called you to do and be motivated to do that as well. Thank you guys so much for watching on this journey. We will continue with mistake number 10 tomorrow. That was our last mistake. Thank you guys so much for being with me on this journey, and God bless you on your journey to freedom. I am Amanda Nicole, and I am the CEO of Freedom Through Divorce. And so I create personal development courses and ebooks and all kinds of things that are geared towards women of God who have been through divorce, who are considering divorce, and who want to move towards freedom and finding their purpose in God. So, what is Freedom Through Divorce? Well, Freedom Through Divorce is actually an online school full of personal development courses for women of God who have been through divorce or who are considering divorce. Anyone who has had to deal with divorce understands that it is extremely difficult. There are so many balls that you have to juggle. Will the children be okay? Is this something that God is going to be okay with? How does it affect my relationship with God? How am I going to learn how to be independent as a new single person or a new single mom? And there's so many things you have to consider. And as a Christian, there are just so few resources out there to help you understand how to navigate those things. So this is a school that really goes from considering divorce and understanding God's views on divorce, when it's acceptable, when it's not acceptable, and understanding that there are so many more cases where God sees divorce as acceptable than what is normally taught out there. And it does it in a way that is not condescending, that's not judgmental, that is just giving you the information from God's heart. And most importantly, is from someone that's been through what you're going through. It's not just theology. It's not just, I read this or I heard this, but it's someone that's actually walked through it. So the personal development courses are meant to help you move and experience freedom through divorce, because there's so many people who they get a divorce, but they don't thrive afterwards. They stay stuck. They stay bitter. They stay telling anyone that'll listen how terrible their ex is. And that's not God's plan for you. God wants you to be able to move towards the purpose and plan that He has for your life and to thrive so that the chapter of your life post-divorce is better. That's what the word says. It says your latter days shall be greater than the former days. So that's what Freedom Through Divorce is all about. It's personal development courses that you can take the information from a biblical perspective and experiencing God's freedom, His prosperity, His love, His joy, His peace, all of the fruits of the Spirit and the blessings that He sent His Son to die for you to be able to have. Just because you've had to go through a divorce does not mean that you are negated from the promises that God has for you. So that's what Freedom Through Divorce is. If you're interested in learning more, visit our school today.